Gospel of St. Mark, chapter number 5. We will start at verse 21 through 24. Then we'll jump down to 35. Again, the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter number 5, verses 21 through 24, and verses 35 through 43. When you have it, say amen. Amen. You're still searching, just say, wait a moment.
Chapter 5, you said?
Yes, again, Mark chapter 5. We will start at verses 21 through 24, and then we will go down to verse 35. I'll be reading from the New American Standard Version of the Bible. Follow along as closely as you can. The Word of God says this. When Jesus had crossed over again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, so he stayed by the seashore. One of the synagogue officials named Jairus came up and on seeing him fell at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Please come and lay your hands on her so that she will get well and live." And he went off with him, and a large crowd was following him and pressing in on him. Let's go down to verse 35. While he was still speaking, they came from the house of the synagogue official, saying, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the master anymore?" But Jesus, overhearing what was being spoken, said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid any longer, only believe." And he allowed no one to accompany him except Peter and James and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the synagogue official, and he saw a commotion and people loudly weeping and wailing. And entering in, he said to them, "Why make a commotion and weep? The child has not died, but is asleep." They began laughing at him. But putting them all out, he took along the child's father and mother and his own companions, and entered the room where the child was. Taking the child by the hand, he said to her, "Talitha kum," which translated means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately, the girl got up and began to walk, and she was 12 years old. And immediately, they were completely astounded. Verse 43. And he gave them strict orders that no one should know about this. And he said that something should be given her to eat. Can you say amen? Amen. I just want to use for a sermon subject. We are still in our Trusting God series, and I would like to use for a subject, trusting God to make a way. Amen. Trusting God to make a way. Trusting God to make a way. We are represented today as we celebrate our School Spirit Day here at Strong Tower. We are represented by a variety of schools. Whether you belong to the greatest high school of all time, Abraham Lincoln High School.
Amen.
And there are others that belong to Thomas Jefferson High School. Some belong to, graduated from Lamar University, some from Abbeville, others from Jarvis Christian College, others from a variety of different schools, Stephen F. Austin and the like. But the one common denominator that we all have is that we all need Jesus. We can come from a variety of different experiences. We can come from a variety of different sides of town, but the common denominator is every last one of us needs Jesus Christ. It makes no difference if you wear purple and gold, maroon and gold, white and black, red and black. We all need the blood that Jesus shed. Whether you're on the west side of town, the east side of town, north side of town, or the south side, we all need Jesus Christ. Whether you wear Levi's or Jabot, we all need the same God. The one thing that I'm understanding about God is that he makes no distinction based on the high school you went to. He makes no distinction based upon your economic background. He makes no distinction based upon the color of your skin. We all need Jesus. Whether you are the family of Alton Sterling or the family of one of the slain police officers, or if you're just somebody in this building today walking and trying to walk through life, we all need Jesus Christ. And I believe I'm surrounded by people today that will testify that I need Jesus Christ. If I don't have any more friends, then you'll still make it. weeks ago, as we all know, the murders of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, their funeral, their homegoing services was on yesterday. While I was in Dallas, Texas this past week, President Obama came and he spoke at the memorial service, and they began to memorialize and bury the 5 slain police officers. Even while we have been sitting here praising and worshiping, they now have a fear that 3 police officers are now dead in Baton Rouge from a shooting that happened while we sat here in worship. I would tell you that doesn't matter what school you went to, doesn't matter what side of the tracks you find yourself on. Not only do you and I need Jesus, but the nation needs Jesus. The world needs Jesus. As in France, there's an individual that takes a 20-ton truck and drives it through a crowd, mauling down countless individuals, or whether there's ISIS that's going all around spreading fear across our world. Every last one of us need Jesus Christ. And I will propose that the reason why we have entered into this period that we are in is because we have actually turned our backs on God. There was a time, I'll get to the text in a minute, there was a time when the United States would send missionaries to various parts of the country, but now in 2016, those same people that we sent witnesses to, they are now sending missionaries to the United States because the United States has gotten so far away from God that now we are the ones being evangelized. I tell you, you better have a relationship with God, because in the days, and no longer is it, I'm going to get right next week, Brad. This is no longer the time that I'll get right. I'll come to God once I get my life right. Well, I got some news for you. That on yesterday, there was somebody your age or younger that got buried that didn't get an opportunity to get it right. We all need Jesus. But at the same time that we need Jesus, some of us, we are here and we have Jesus, but we needed to make a way. I believe that as the choir sung today, a very fitting song, when our back was against the wall and it looked as if it was over, we made a way. Do I have any witnesses in the building to know that when your back was against the wall and it looked as if it was over, God made a way. Don't know how, but He did. And I don't know how, but a great way. That's why I can walk into the midst of a sanctuary and I can have a praise party all by myself. I can thank God when I look at what God did, when I look at how He did it. If I look at why He did it, I still don't know why He did it for me. Maybe you have been so good that you deserve the mercy of God. Maybe you deserve the blessing of God. I tell you, if you write a book, I'm going to be the first one to buy it. But for the rest of us, we are just operating on His grace and His mercy. We are just thankful that God decided to make a way out of no way. Don't know how you made it out of the car wreck, but God made a way. Don't know how I'm able to make ends meet, but God just made a way. Do I have at least 35 people in the building today that will put those hands together and say, God, I'm glad that you made a way. I'm glad that you opened doors that I didn't even know were there. I'm glad that you shut doors that even when you got a long time ago. Look at somebody and say, God, you made a way. Very interesting in our text for today, we see that at the first part of the Gospel of St. Mark, we see that Jesus traveled on a boat and he went to the country of the Gerasenes and he ran into the demon-possessed man. The demon-possessed man by the name of Legion, there's a legion of demons that was in the man, and God, when Jesus got on the scene, he commanded the demons to enter into the swine, and now this demon-possessed man is now sitting there clothed and in his right mind. But now as this man begged Jesus to go along with him to the other side, he tells him to go back to your hometown and be an evangelist and tell people how good I've been to you. So now Jesus gets back in the boat and he travels to the other side, going to Capernaum. And when he gets there, there's a large crowd that is waiting for him. But the crowd that is waiting for him is one thing, but there was also another man that was waiting for him. Very different than the demon-possessed man. This man was a man by the name of Jairus. He was a synagogue official, a high-ranking shot caller in the in the synagogue church. And so now this man by the name of Jairus has obviously heard about Jesus Christ and heard about the many miracles that he has done up to this point. And he says, I need to find Jesus for myself.
Yes.
Now understand, just laying some groundwork here, please understand that it was rather controversial for Jairus to go to Jesus in the first place. Because the synagogue officials, the Pharisees, and the scribes were very indifferent to Jesus Christ, mainly because Jesus was doing radical things like not only was he healing folk, but he was healing folk on the Sabbath to let people know that I am not only the Lord of mankind, but I'm also the Lord over the Sabbath. He was also doing things, he was causing the Pharisees and the scribes and the Sadducees to be very uncomfortable when Jesus came around. You know, when Jesus is on the scene, he is not there to make you comfortable. As a matter of fact, if you are comfortable, I would tend to tell you that Jesus is probably not in your vicinity. Because Jesus is not there to make you comfortable. Jesus is there so that his will be done. And so now Jesus is encountered by this man by the name of Jairus. And as we pick it up in the text today, the text says in verse 22 that Jairus comes up and sees him, and he falls at his feet.
Yeah.
And now he begins to present Jesus with a problem. He says, my daughter is at the point of death. I ask that you will come and lay hands on her so that she will live. And Jesus now, in verse 24, he goes off with him, and a large crowd was pressing around him. So now Jesus, catch this, Jesus is on the way with Jairus to go heal his daughter, and then somebody cut in front of him. Text says that the particular woman who had an issue of blood, if you want to know that story, come back next week. There was a woman with an issue of blood that cut in front of Jesus, and more importantly, cut in front of Jairus. I was at the preaching conference this past week, and I was on my way to a particular class. The class was beginning to fill up, and right when I was about to walk into the door, somebody cut in front of me. Now I'm telling you, I'm Pastor Herb Fontenette. I'm the pastor of Strong Tower Church. I'm trying to live a righteous lifestyle and all of these particular things. But when somebody cut in front of me, I got a little attitude. Some of y'all didn't laugh, because some of y'all are judging me. But then there's the other part of y'all saying that I wouldn't let that happen. Have you ever been in a line and you're about to get something to eat and somebody cut in front of you? Now, I don't care how spiritual you are. I don't care how much you fasted. I don't care how much you tithe. I don't care how much you give it. When somebody cut in front of you, you get a little bit of an attitude. Yes. Deacon Thomas, when they cut in front of me, I got a little attitude. Now, I didn't say anything outwardly, but you ever have those conversations in your mind? Boy, y'all acting funny with me. That's because y'all got y'all school clothes. That's what it is. But when somebody cuts in front of you, it begins to bring your blood pressure up, because you've been waiting for a long time to get into a particular place, and then somebody tries to bypass the process and tries to cut in front of you. Now I had somebody cutting in front of me to get into a class. Imagine somebody cutting in front of you and they get a blessing before you. What do you do when someone gets a blessing before you and have you ever been there? You've been waiting and you've been trusting and you've been fasting and you've been believing God for something, and somebody that just got saved 23 minutes ago, they did a prayer that you met right now for 23 minutes. What do you do when somebody gets your blessing and you are sitting in the back of Palmer's experience? I think I'm talking to somebody in the building already. I see you looking uncomfortable. I was going to keep going, but I guess I'll park my bike right there. Because there are times, ladies and gentlemen, that it seems as if God has us in a delay. Nowadays, when they do the Super Bowl halftime, because of some incidents that happened in the past, now the Super Bowl halftime is what's now on tape delay. It is not shown live because the cameras does not know exactly what the entertainers are going to do. So what they do, they have it on delay so that they can see what's going to happen. Well, what do you do when God has you on tape delay? How do you handle it when you've been believing God, you've been trusting God, and you've been walking with God, but God says not yet? Now Jairus is now waiting patiently, and this woman with an issue of blood for 12 long years gets a healing, and now she's going on about her business, but now Jairus is still waiting on And now, to make matters worse, in verse 35, the text says that now they have some people that were at Jairus' house. They come down to where Jesus and Jairus are now waiting. And the individual tells Jairus, your daughter has died. What you've been waiting for, your daughter has now died. Brother Joe, maybe if the woman with the issue of blood had not cut in front of them, maybe Jesus would have made it down to the little girl and healed her in the nick of time.
All right.
Or just maybe Jesus was allowing this particular instance to happen to show them that not only do I have authority over life, but I also got authority over death. Does anybody know that Jesus has all authority? I mean, some of y'all ain't clapping. I want to tell you that Jesus has all authority. He has authority over life. He has authority over death. He has authority over the Sabbath. He has authority over the devil. He has authority over demons. He has authority over your light bill. He has authority over your cracked out son. He has authority over you. He got authority over whatever you want to put in the blank. Jesus has all authority. And if somebody say Jesus has all authority. Now understand, Jesus does not have some authority, but he has all authority. So if that means Jesus has all authority, then it means that you and I don't have any. And I know that disturbs some of us because we like to sit on our Holy Ghost filled perches and think that we got a little bit of authority. Just because you don't went to school, that don't mean you got all authority. Just because you got a few degrees, that does not mean you got all authority. Just because you can sing with the riffs and the runs, that does not mean that you have all authority. But I want to talk about Jesus Christ that has all authority. He has authority over your jurisdiction. He has authority over your region. He has authority over your mind. He has authority over your spirit. Jesus has all authority. Jairus, I got some other business I got to attend to, but keep waiting on me because I'm going to show you that I have all authority. But the text says, your daughter has died. Verse 35, I'm still in the Bible. Your daughter has died. Why trouble the master anymore? It's over now, Jairus.
Why?
It's over now. What you still bothering Jesus for? She's died, and Jesus can't do nothing about it. Why are you still bothering Jesus? There's no reason for you to now keep communicating with Jesus because your daughter has just died. Why are you bothering Jesus? What you still bothering Jesus for? Sometimes your worst enemies are your friends. Because somebody came from Jairus' house to tell Jairus, stop bothering Jesus. And for some of us, we've been praying and fasting and waiting for a long time for your breakthrough to happen. And somebody around you saying, what you keep waiting on Jesus for? If Jesus would have done it, he'd have sure enough done it by now. I think I'm talking to somebody in the building. What you still waiting on Jesus for? You've been praying for your child for 10 years and your child hadn't got better. What you still waiting on Jesus for? Let me get your business for a little bit. You've been praying for a breakthrough. And you still haven't broke out. But you're seeing your neighbor and the one in front of you getting a blessing and they ain't living like you living. They ain't walking like you walking. And you begin to recognize and think, why am I even wasting my time with this Jesus? But Jesus. I think you ought to have a but Jesus in your testimony. I almost fell off, but Jesus. I almost lost my mind, but Jesus. And the text says, verse 36, but Jesus, overhearing what was being spoken. Now I want to tell you something, that Jesus, not only does he have all authority, but he is also all-knowing. He is also all-knowing. For instance, in Luke chapter 6, when Jesus was, you don't have to turn there, when Jesus was teaching in the synagogue, he was teaching there, and the text says that there was a man whose right hand was withered. As Jesus was teaching, there were Pharisees and scribes that were there, but they weren't there to receive the teaching. They were just there to see if Jesus was going to heal this man on the Sabbath. And the Bible says that Jesus knew what they were thinking. familiar with the African-American lingo, to ear hustle means eavesdrop. Really, you getting into somebody else's conversation. Now, somebody that's really anointed at ear hustle, they can look over here. Y'all looking at me funny. But some of y'all like, I got that anointing in me. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit. Jesus was ear hustle. And the text says, but Jesus, overhearing what was being spoken, said to the official, don't be afraid any longer, only believe. The tense of the word only believe really means keep on believing. So he's really telling Jairus, number one, have no fear, but number two, keep on believing. You believe me up to this point. Don't stop believing just because you got a bad report.
That's right.
Don't stop believing just because you hit a bump in the road. I'm preaching to somebody today. You done got some bad news and now your faith done went on the shambles. But Jesus said, keep on believing. If you had the faith to come to me in the first place, have the same faith to believe in me. Keep on believing. Matter of fact, I need somebody to shout, I'm going to keep on believing. Matter of fact, I want you to high-five your neighbor and say, keep on believing. Keep on believing. You got some bad news, but keep on believing. I will trust in the Lord. I don't care what the news says. I don't care what the doctor's report says. I don't care what your enemy says. I don't care what the devil says. Keep on believing. Somebody shout, keep on believing. That's what your faith is, to be able to walk by faith even when you get some bad news. The tendency is, when you get a bad report, your tendency is for you to fall to pieces. But Jesus said, if you had the faith to believe me up to this point, keep on believing. Don't stop because the bank said no. Don't stop because they're going to sell the land. Don't stop because the people said no. Don't stop because the doctor said no. Don't stop believing. Look at somebody and say, I'm going to keep on believing. See, when man says no, that does not mean that God hadn't said yes. When God says yes, it makes no difference who says no, because it's only a matter of time before God's heart comes into existence. And I don't know about you, but I feel good in my body today because I know that I'm going to keep on believing. Don't be afraid. Don't walk in fear. Only believe. So now what Jesus began to do, Jesus begins to purge the road. Text says he had a large crowd with him and his disciples. So now what Jesus has to do, he said, I'm just going to take Peter, I'm just going to take James, I'm just going to take John, and and the three of us in Jairus, we're going to go down to Jairus' home. So now the text says, verse 38, they come to the house of the synagogue official, and he saw a commotion and people loudly weeping and wailing. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Jewish custom, but the Jewish custom, what would happen when an individual would die, they would actually hire mourners. So the people that were there, these are actually people that the family has hired to mourn at the death of somebody else. Remember that was a few years ago, that was a television show, you saw it? Well, there were people that were all around, they were mourning at people that they didn't even know because they were paid a fee to cry. But Torian, it makes me understand that everybody that's crying with you not really crying with you. Everybody that you see shedding tears in your vicinity, that don't mean that they're shedding tears on your back. See, that's really why you got to do you really got to purge the road. And for some of us, God is not going to do any more until you begin to purge your road. You are now being deleted because of lack of activity. And for some of us, you really need to go down the road. Look, got to delete you. You too crazy. Got to delete you. You too crazy. See, I don't want to be around people that's always down all the time. You know that when people are down all the time, you know that's contagious. When people complain all the time, it makes me start complaining. I don't even complain. But you got to purge the road. And Jesus walked into the synagogue house and he saw people that were having a commotion and they were weeping and wailing. They were crying over somebody that didn't even know. And the text says, when Jesus walks in, verse 39, He entered in and he said to them, "What's all this fuss for?" That's the Pastor Hurd version. What's the commotion for? Why are you weeping and wailing? This girl is not dead, she's only asleep. The way that Jesus views it, this girl is just having she's just taking a nap. And the text says that the ones that were causing all the commotion, they were weeping and wailing. When Jesus said she's asleep, they instantly stopped the weeping and the wailing and they broke out in laughter. It's right there in the Bible. The text says in verse 40 they began laughing at him. And you got the King James Version that says they laughed him to scorn. They began to laugh at the diagnosis that Jesus gave. But then Jesus, again, who has all authority, did something that I believe every last one of us ought to do from time to time. You still in your life? I think there's a time in our lives that we have to do what Jesus did in verse 40. The text says he put them all out. Now. Jesus wasn't polite about it. He didn't ask anybody to leave. Jesus was not even in his own house. Now, it's one thing if you come to my house and I tell you to get out. It's another thing if I go to your house and I start telling your guests to get out. But any place Jesus walks in, he automatically moves the house. And Jesus said, everybody out. I think every last one of us ought to take this page in our text, and we ought to begin to look at the people in our lives and the people that are causing you no good. There are some people that you know should have been out of your life a long time ago. I think you ought to get your finger and out. Jesus put them all out. Jesus didn't let some stay in the living room. Jesus didn't let some stay in the front room. Jesus put them all out. And he put them all out to the point that the only ones left was the child, the parents, and the ones that Jesus came there with. So it lets me know that everybody that was in the house weeping and wailing wasn't even weeping and wailing. They wasn't even concerned about the child. You don't believe this. But there's people that's in your life that really are not concerned about you. I know you're a good person. And that causes you some good. You can't even believe that somebody would have the unmitigated gall to not like you. Well, I got some news for you. There's 15 people talking about you right now. I see some of y'all think say amen right there. Because you walking around like you got, like everything is good in your life. All my friends are good. No. But Jesus said everybody get out. And the only ones that are left are the ones that's going to make a difference. The Bible says, after they laughed and were scorned and Jesus put them all out, Jesus walked into the room where the child was. The child is now dead. We don't even know the name of the child. We know Jairus' name. We don't know the name of the little girl that's dead. But Jesus doesn't need to know your identification in order to bless you. Let me come at it another way. Jesus doesn't have to know your identification in order to bless you. Let me come at it a different way. Jesus doesn't have to know your identification in order to bless you. But then you may be saying, well, wait a minute, Jesus knows all, which he obviously does. But when Jesus came to you, you were not then who you are now. Hallelujah. Let's take a walk down memory lane. Remember who you used to be? Oh, you ought to see your face. Remember who you used to be? Before Jesus put his hands on you? Boy, you look uncomfortable. Because for some of us, you want everybody to think that I woke up like this. No, I disagree. For some of us, it would have been a challenge to come to church after a picnic and the club all night because you Jesus bless you in spite of what you snorted. For some of us, Jesus bless you in spite of what you shot up. For some of us, Jesus bless you in spite of what you sold. But the common denominator is Jesus bless you. Do I have anybody that can say that Jesus bless you in spite of what I've been through, in spite of who I am, in spite of what I've gone through? I thank God that blessed me. And I'm so glad to know that Jesus blessed me. Do I have anybody on this side that can say that Jesus blessed me? Do I have anybody on this side that can testify that Jesus blessed me? Do I have anybody on this side that can testify that Jesus blessed me? Do I have anybody on this side that can say, I know that Jesus blessed me? I know that Jesus, but I can give God all the praise. I walked in, but I started to feel real good because I know that Jesus blessed me. How about somebody and say, Jesus blessed me? Oh, he blessed me. He blessed me so good that I don't look like what I've been through. He blessed me so good that what I went through, if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. And that's when you know that God has been good. I'm telling you, that's been hurting all week, but I'm starting to feel like all those things won't coming on. Because the Lord my God is able. The Lord my God is good. Somebody yell, preach Lincoln graduate. Jesus. All the TJ folks was like, preach it. Jesus done walked in the room. Elena Davis, Jesus walked into the room, and the text says that he took the child by the hand. And he began to speak to the dead child. But he told her in verse 41, Tatalai kum. Tatalai, little girl, kum, get up. So first off, it lets me know that no matter what language you speak, Jesus speaks your language. Jesus is now speaking the dead girl language. See, now we are so reformed. We are so educated, and we have learned to use the proper diction. We have learned to dress a certain way, to walk a certain way. We grateful upon our fingers are extended. But the thing that I love about Jesus is that he can still speak your language. It means that no matter what language that I speak, he knows how to speak it. If you're defeated, he knows what to say to make me encouraged. If I'm down, he knows what to speak in order to get me up. Look at somebody say, Jesus speaks my language. And when he tells her, Tatalai kum, it is an imperative. Now, I went to Abraham Lincoln High School. I went to Mary Lathman's class. And an imperative is a command. Jesus didn't ask the little girl to get up. He commanded her to get up. Now, death had the little girl wrapped up. But when Jesus spoke a word, the word that Jesus spoke, death couldn't even hold the girl any longer. Because when Jesus spoke, the little girl immediately died. Jesus is so awesome that when Lazarus was dead for 4 days, when Jesus came to the tomb, he looked into the tomb and said, Lazarus, come forth. The dead man that was stinking came out of the grave because Jesus has authority over death. You ought to know that. There's at least a few moments in your life you know you should have died. You think it was your driving skills that got you out of that, man? In your past life, you know you've done some things that somebody should have shot you by the end. See, y'all looking at me funny right now. But Jesus speaking to the girl. Little girl, get up. And the text says, verse 42, immediately, not later, not a few minutes down the line, but immediately, the girl got up and she began to walk. So not only was the girl revived from death, but you remember that Jesus came to her in the first place because the child was sick. Not only did Jesus raise her from the dead, but he healed her sickness all at the same time. I am so glad to know that Jesus, when he walks into the scene, that he can change your circumstance for your good. Text says immediately the girl got up and began to walk because she was 12 years old. And everybody that was in the room were astounded. And then Jesus said, he gave them strict orders. Don't tell anybody about this. Now, I would have a challenge with that. My little girl was dead and now you brought her to life. I got to tell somebody about it. But now, even though Jesus gave them the command to don't tell anybody about it, I think for the rest of us, I think that it behooves us to tell somebody what God has done for you. I think that you ought to tell somebody that God has been good. I think you ought to tell somebody that God has been merciful. I think you ought to tell somebody that God can heal your body. I think you ought to tell somebody that God can take you off of drugs. I think you ought to tell somebody that's going through a bad moment that if God did it for me, then do I know that God can do it for you? Do I have anybody that can testify that you know that God is able, and if God can do it for me, then I know he can do it for somebody else. Jesus said, don't tell nobody about it, but I want you to give us something to eat. Love this part. Jesus said, give us something to eat. It shows them that this child is fully alive. Raising the child up, and now I want you to feed the child. I love to tell stories about one of my 15 godchildren. It was 14 last week. I just added another one. I love telling the story of my oldest goddaughter, Patricia Lachey Dankins. Pray is now 22 years old. Pray is 22 years old, and me and my wife began dating the day that she was born. So I always know how long we're married just by looking at Pray. And so when she was a little bitty baby, when she was a little girl, her mother asked me to watch her for a little bit. A little bit for me was like 10 minutes. So she asked me to watch her for a little bit, and Pray started crying. And she started crying to the point, you ever have a baby cry, you don't know what to do? Especially when it's not your baby. Like if it's your baby, you know what to do when your baby, but this not my baby, I don't even know what to do. Baby started crying. Her little sister, her big sister, by the way, didn't know her sisters. So Pray is crying. Tell her this story was going on. So she's crying, and I'm holding, and I'm rocking, but she's still crying. The more that she cried, I just rocked her a little bit more. Then it came to me, maybe I need to give her a bottle. So I went and I grabbed her a bottle, and as I began to give her the bottle, she stopped crying. Then when her mama came in, I told her, I said she had been crying. The only thing I knew was to give her something to eat. She said when the baby was crying, the best thing for you to do is give her food. And it made me recognize that we may have tears in our eyes, but the best food that we can eat is not natural food. And it's not food from salt grass or roller. It's not food from the real house. But the best food that we can ever eat when we are in a bind is the Word of God. And I would tell somebody that the reason that some of us are crying right now is because you are being malnourished. The only word you get is when you come to the house of God. Everything is quiet on the moment. But when you get tired of being sick and tired, you begin to feast on the Word of God. And the Word of God is what you need in order for you to make it in this day and time. I need somebody to testify that the Word of God is what brought you through. The Word of God is what held me over. The Word of God is what dried up my tears. The Word of God is what was able to help me. So the title of the sermon, Trusting God to Make a Way. Jairus needed it. He needed something that he couldn't do. And God will sometimes put your back against the wall. That's right. To the point where you can't depend on nobody else but him. If you can depend on your money gonna run out eventually. If you depend on your friends just as messed up as you can't job you can't depend on, but when you put your trust in Jesus, Jesus is able to keep you and sustain you and hold you throughout what you're going through. All right. And I tell you today that what gives me great joy is to know that Jesus did it for me. Amen.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to say that again. That was good to me. Jesus did it for me. I'm going to say it again. Jesus did it for me. Same one that was selling dope on the block. Jesus did it for me. Same one that was drinking and smoking and gambling on the same pole. Jesus did it for me. And while you're looking at me with a judgmental eye, Jesus did it for you too. Despite what you've been through.